Um, Today, I wanted to bring on sort of this potpourri of amazing character tenors, and I wanted to just talk to you guys about this particular Fock and about you guys all know each other, and a lot of us have all worked together. So before we start to do dip into the heavy part of the conversation, could you guys introduce yourselves and let us know how long you've been working in the business and how you came to the character tenor rep and all that stuff. And Dean, why don't you start us off, buddy, since you're
well, this session's going to be over. And well, hey, I'm Dean, and it's great to see you guys. And Alan, I've known for quite a long time, and Mikey, obviously, we worked together. I was in the club. That's what I called it, and I always have called it the Character Tenor Club. And I started really young, and decided right on the bat that that's what I wanted to do. So that was my path, and then I just started taking those responsibilities. So for me, as some of you might know or not know, is that I became the tumbling tenor, because I used to do flips and tumbles and cartwheels and all that stuff, and I no longer can do them. Thank you very much. But and it paved my way. And obviously I'm so interested to talk to the younger guys and find out what their lives are like now and how it was. But it really was a club, and it was within maybe two other shows, we all never got to work together, unless you're doing turned out or you're doing, Falstaff. That's it, So it's always cool to be with other guys in the club, as I say. Been doing this stuff for 36 years. I'm no longer in the performing realm. I went to the other side of the table about 14 years ago, and it has been a joy and educating. And I'm a kind of a teaching director kind of guy now, and that's the best part. And giving back, and that's it.
Dean Anthony, ladies and gentlemen. There you go.
And thank you.
Yeah. All right, James, lay it on us, buddy.
Yeah, so I guess I've been doing it for 15 years now, and mine was kind of being spearheaded into the character work. I guess my size is that, because I'm a short guy, and you gotta match your soprano, I guess, if you're gonna be singing lyric stuff. But I also thought I have more fun with character work and being crazy, and like Dean, cartwheels and falling over. And I have a dance and music theater background, so just moving on stage and playing characters was, the way I got it. So they always threw me into the character parts. And now I have, as I get older, my voice goes higher, which is really weird. And I sing really crazy things, and nothing is too weird for me to do, whether it's a cow in a tutu or Hitler. So
look, I have a varied repertoire. I play from cow in a tutu to Hitler. Anything you want.
It is
anything in between those
weird.
two.
Anything
now, James, you're
between.
you're not based in the States, right?
Correct. I'm in the UK now. I did the Fest system in Austria and Germany, and then decided after years of that it was time to do freelance and try to have more of a family life, and moved to the UK and doing freelance here, and making it work, even with COVID going on. I don't know about that, but
it's a little different over in Europe than it is here in the States. That's for sure.
A little different.
With respect to COVID.
It's still all closed down in the UK, so our continental friends have it a little bit different, but yeah.
Us Anglo-Saxons, we just can't seem to get it right now. It's funny.
No.
Well, Matt DiBattista, buddy, why don't you lay it on us, man? How long you been doing this, and how did you come to this repertoire?
Yeah, I mean, all I've ever done, and you and I both went to CCM, so came through that area. And back then I did all the high flying lyric rep. I loved doing Ernestos and all that kind of stuff. But like James said, my height, I think, was the biggest issue. I'm just not a big guy, and so everybody kept telling me I should go character, and then hung out with Tony Latura one summer when I was a young artist, and he was doing Goro, and and he he filled me in on how it goes, and didn't sound so bad. So those guys were killing it back then. So, he was, he was a big influence on me, and I just have had so much fun doing. I mean, it is kind of a lot of fun depending on what roles you're doing, and like James, I mean, I can do all the crazy stuff too, which has been fun. And I know, Rodell does that. I mean, all you guys do it, so it doesn't matter. I mean, anything loud and high is right up my alley. So I don't fall down on stage. I mean, on purpose. I just fall down a lot. So that also works into the.
Well, you should stop drink. You should stop drinking before the performances. That kind of that'll help.
Oh, you're supposed to stop before.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I'll keep that in mind if it ever comes back. So, I'm based in Boston now, and and just waiting to see what happens because it's supposed to be a good year for me. So.
Yeah, I feel you on that one, man. So Rodell, Rosel, the always understated and boring Rodell Rosel.
My name is Rodell Rosel, character tenor. Hi, Rodell. As a character tenor, voice 10, looks 3, and I'm still on unemployment.
At least you're getting it.
So, background. I was a pop singer when I was a kid in the Philippines, moved to U.S. Fast forward, I went back to school and got introduced to opera. And during that time, just singing random stuff. So fast forward to when I studied to UCLA. And my teacher's Timothy Massard, which I think Alan knows.
I know Tim.
When he saw me, because my category from 3 different teachers, even John at some point, was a lyrical spinto, but not the dramatic side. However, that's when my teacher said, yeah, not gonna work. He actually was the one who told me when I was in undergrad, you got to do character tenor now, so that when you leave school, that's how they see you immediately. So that's when I started emailing Nico Castel, and he was the one who actually gave me a list. Okay, you do the Tanzmeister, you do the Franz aria, you do Thisbe, but that's when it started. And when I started I did the Met 3 times. It was like some lyric, half a character. It was not until the 3rd time where I gave them a full character list. And during that time, my teacher was saying, it's like, because you have the vocal skills for that, you'll stick out because you're not doing everyone else's. And that was the main thing. I think what I was so happy about, at least, was when I did the Met, I was the first one to actually sing character in the finals. And then after that, everyone was trying to learn Aria of the Worm because, shoot.
I remember you singing the Worm.
And then, of course, Matt did the role in St. Louis. What year was that?
I did it at the
that
Met.
was 2009.
I did it at the Met.
Nice. That little place.
For that little place.
But that was the thing. It's like, it's back in college was like somebody just really needs to I'm fortunate to have a teacher who knew the business. Who knew you don't look like you're normal. Yes, your voice is gonna be like it's gonna be an 8 to another guy whose a voice is a 6. But if their is a 10, you're gonna go with that because that's what's gonna go well with the co-star. So stop trying to compete with people trying to do what they have and concentrate on what you have. And that's how my journey was in getting to be a character tenor, which I'm one of those who always say, well, I understand that they also have the spiel and the buffo, but then when I read the whole thing, being specifically a character tenor is a huge deal because it's not just about acting. It has a lot to do with how your voice is. That's why I always think, when they said spiel, it's like, yes, I do spiel and buffo roles, but I am a character tenor. That's what I always do.
Yeah.
And girl.
All right, so Alan, tell us all about it, man. How did you get to this crazy world?
Well, I've sung everything, haven't I? Well, I mean, I started I've been doing this a long time. I still can't believe how long I've been doing this. I started as a baritone, as some of you know that, and I started at the Met as a baritone, and then I decided to change to tenor. One of the, crazy that it worked, and but I was doing leading roles. I think it's honestly when I decided. I always loved acting. I love theater, and I did a lot of theater even before I started doing opera. So doing dramatic roles for me was always hard because I don't like standing still and singing. It's not my favorite thing to do. But doing roles like I did with you, doing Canio, doing something like that, that you have to act. I mean, it's not. You have to be an actor to do it. But it's almost a character part if you think about it, even doing a role like Canio. But I think it's when we were talking about Ghost of Versailles, and I got to do the Béjars at the Met. And I went, I kind of like this. And started doing more of character things, but still keeping my throwing in an Otello or throwing in roles like that. So I'm still but now Herod's become, I do Herod and First Jew, both. And I love doing Zalames. So it's because it requires acting. But I love what Rodell said is that you still got to sing. It's not just about being an actor. You still got to be a singer, and that's what I do. I sing the same as I do for the First Jew as I will do for Otello. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to sing it any differently. And I think that's the thing. You play the character, but you don't let your voice.
You know what? Just listening to you guys talk, it's really funny to hear that, especially you guys that have had careers 20, 30 years. And for those of us that are, in the dramatic rep or doing Mozart or, Verdi or Wagner, and we're doing these, Votans or things. And, there's often this thing that, the acting was kind of secondary. But listening to you guys, it really was for y'all, it was on parody the entire time. It never was sort of looked at as secondary. And that's a trend that you see more and more today with opera across the board. Is everybody is no longer okay just to be a voice in, a voice that just sings out and that's it. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to act. And you guys have been doing this for decades.
Mike, man, if I can jump in, the thing about a character tenor repertoire, to me, it's always been this essence of the ultimate sidekick. I mean, if you really just look at it, you're the ultimate sidekick. And, you can go down the list. The history of the sidekick is massive. I mean, it's massive. Movies, literature, film, all the way cartoons. I mean, it's always there. You're looking at Batman and Robin, Fred and Barney. Not that we are always the comic relief, but that relationship is so crucial. But what's starting to happen, at least the way I've gone to the other side and I direct everybody as a sidekick. So if you're all in that investment as an actor to that prime source character, you can't go wrong. Does that make sense?
You're right. You're right.
I always think that when I'm doing Tosca as well, because you think at the end, who's standing at the end? It's Spoletta.
Spoletta, cutie.
You're the last one. You're it. You're it.
Well, we need to have a sequel to Tosca that's Spoletta running the show, because he's
Spoletta's
the one
dream
at the end. I love
You're
it.
right. You're right.
Of course.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, we should get Verdi on that.
It's like doing I've done Schwisky and Boris often. He's the one left at the end going, I guess I'll take over now.
Right.
And I love doing that part. And I did Dimitri too, but I think I like Schwisky better. Yeah. More fun.
And I still go back to the thing. It's a club, man. I'm listening to Matthew talk about it. That's the first how I met Anthony Latour as well.
Do you guys feel like it's a bit of a fraternity? Because there's a lot of competition.
It should be
in a lot of Fox. People
should be.
Don't really work together, don't like to talk to each other. But I feel like when I've been around y'all, it's there's a lot of camaraderie, even when you're not working together. When you're together, you sort of have this common experience that you really understand.
Mm.
And it's a real close community.
What's the point of doing it any other way? I mean, that's always been my tilt in this business. And the older I get, the less time I have for ego and all that baloney, because it has nothing to do with our work, and if anything, it holds everything back. So I mean, Rodell and I've out of all most of the character guys, I mean, Rodell and I've worked sort of together the most. I've covered him a couple of times, so we always get along great. And there's no why would you do it any other way? I mean, it's just miserable if you go in it with ego.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that's true. Oh, go ahead, Rodell.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when I first got into the business, and after the young artist, you're thinking, when you're younger, and then you try to compare yourself with your other colleagues. Like, why is he getting that work? Why is that? Why am I that? But which is normal. But at the same time, later on, we realize, there's not a few of us. And we are getting employed in certain places. And that's when we realize, we got to support each other of our work, of our successes, and all that. And that's why I've known this, but at least, I've worked with, except for Dean, of course, I've worked with everyone here. I remember Matt and Alan, because I think after the program, I haven't worked with, or Jim was done with the program, I wasn't able to work with him as much. But I remember Alan and Matt, and I was in dressing room. He's like, these two, a few times, have come to my dressing room. So it's like, hey, you need coffee? I mean, little things like that. Have you ever had any of your people who you work with of the same role do that to you?
I was covering you and being nice to you.
It's something you guys never had to do, but you just like, hey, it's like, are you okay? It's fine. But actually offering something to make your day that night. Because for us, no, it's like, it'll be nice if, for example, if I'm the Met, it'll be nice to go on. But no, we want to make sure our artists, you stay safe, because you need that, because we know how this business is. We know the financial part of this business. We don't want to get sick. It's not like if you're going on, I'm not getting paid. Everyone's getting paid here. We want you to be, and that's what I felt every single time. But the difference is we show each other how we care about each other. There's the big difference right there. And there's no underlying hypocrisy.
Right.
That I can tell you.
I mean, from my standpoint as singing, often doing the leading man in these shows, I've always felt from the character community a real sense of camaraderie, a real sense of support, because and often, like, when you're standing there and you have someone like Dean or Rodell to partner with, and those guys are the guys I've worked with as character tenors, so I'm not leaving anybody out. But you definitely feel this sense that you guys are on our team,
Yeah, Mikey, though, to me, again, I think it's a responsibility. I mean, there's a massive responsibility to me, at least in this repertoire, and it goes back to that comment of the club. I mean, when I'm looking at people in my head of Nico and Vilas and
Tony
and Anthony Latura, and you're looking at that and I said, well, I'm gonna get out there and and Jimmy Atherton, God rest his soul, I mean, all these incredible artists, you have a responsibility, so do it. It's simple as that. I mean, there is look, I don't know about you guys, I'm gonna speak for myself. There are times that there's a defensiveness that can happen inside of this, of defending our repertoire, and I think that at least I defended it all the time. And maybe they thought I was a pain in the ass, but I'm going to stand up for this repertoire, because guess what? Sure, that stigma thing that we understand of, he's okay looking. Well, make him a character tenor. Okay, well, he sings okay. Let make him a character tenor. it goes down the list. And the
Right.
worst thing that we all had that, well, we need to cover. Okay, well, get me a character tenor, not get the character tenor, give the cover, that kind of scenario. And there's defensiveness in that because, it's our job to raise the level up to everybody else so that we're all in even playing.
Well, it has occurred to me, and it has been something that has really troubled me over the past 20 years or so. And you're talking about defending your repertoire, and what I'm doing is reflecting what I've been told by folks from your community, is that there's been a bit of a marginalization of the repertoire, and been like the idea that someone would want to go into a character tenor. It's sort of looked at sometimes as like, oh well, they're a character tenor, or you see lots of companies, especially in the level 2 and below, using their young artist program and using their dramatic or their lyric tenors in the repertoire just to fill a role, just to get
to save money. To save money. They're doing.
Yeah. And you sort of lose that track. I mean, I'm all for a 24, 26-year-old tenor doing a character role if that's their track.
Yeah.
But if it's not their track, then what you're doing is you're not really doing the Fock justice. And it's something that's really bothered me as because when I work with the guys that are really into their rep and they're really experienced and they know what it means to be a character tenor, it's a completely different product. And what does that meant to you guys? What does that felt like?
We're not just there to sing that role. I mean, this is something that Tony told me, and I think this is what you were, getting at, Dean, is, how many times have we been on stage and something goes haywire and we're pulling stuff together? Props get lost, the lead guy forgets words, I mean that kind of stuff. Like but that's what we do. It's called supporting for a reason, and we're there to literally support. I mean, and that just becomes part of the job, and you just enjoy that, and
it also makes for a great story too. I mean, so many great stories, But also, how many times have I sat in a dressing room then in a bigger house next to a young artist who is I've had this happen where I'm actually there covering, let's say covering one of you guys or something, and then I got a young artist next to me who's doing Gaston or something, which is a role I would have loved to have done at that house, and he's bitching about it because it's not his repertoire, but they gave him that role. And the whole time I've actually had to say, hey, listen, man, you've got an opportunity here. You're just getting your licks. Yeah. You've got a job and you've got credits on your resume, and and by the way, back in the day, that's not how it worked. I mean, we covered and we did bit roles, but we didn't do those sort of featured character roles unless you were already an established artist. I remember it. So
I think hey, Jim, earlier when I cut you off, there was something you were gonna say?
Oh, it was just
Over.
the same thing you were gonna say in a different way, I think, Rodell. So don't worry.
Here's a really interesting point to me. Zero disrespect. It's amazing, but you go back in the day, they would have pictures of the Met of Björling in 6 different costumes, and he looked exactly the same. Yeah, and then you go and throw up Anthony or Vias or somebody else, and there's a person, there's a character, there's a investment into what. Bro, I mean, look at, if you go through any of our pictures out here, none of us are going to have this all standing going. It's going to be, we're going to be in it, bro. I mean, yeah, it's and the kick-ass thing about this industry is that in a year's time, at least back in the day when I was doing it, I did craziest back-to-back shows. So one day you're doing Monostatos, and the next day you're singing Brighella, and the next day you're singing it goes on and on, up, down, left, right. And, the worst part about it is that you never get off for the first rehearsal like all the tenors, the big tenors do. You're always there day one, and then
the whole time
gets released for 5 days, and you're going, Really?
It makes it hard to create ensemble. I mean, I have been that guy before that's come in late,
Yeah.
and it's never worth it because you miss all those small interactions that give the scene such color.
Let me tell you a couple of story. One is back in 2003, and then the other one is 2004. I studied with, you guys probably know the teacher, Fred Karama. Of course, you probably heard of Fred Karama. There were two teachers being auditioned to take over Fred Zambari. And I came in with him, and I was in UCLA. I took a lesson with him. And this is the first thing he said. It's like, let me see your list. Oh, I'm working on Colombina and doing this. And then, he said, it's like, the character. It's like, places that do those stuff, they use their own people for that. Very, very already disapproving. It's like, and his face was like, wait, I'm here to actually learn about stinging. And then now I was being brought down to like, what I'm actually bringing in is not worth this teacher's time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fast
No,
forward,
that's not right.
fast forward to when I in 2004, I coached with, before the Met finals the following year, I coached with Nico Castel. I was able to get one. And he did tell me, it is so disappointing now. This is 2004, that companies would use young people who have no idea what being an actor is, jumping in even in the simplest roles. He told me that. I was like, they should be using people who are versed. Even it's like for us, like when Jim and I were in the program at Lyric, but we're already doing that. We're here to learn, which means we're already in the right category to cover David, to cover Alan, to cover Dennis Peterson. Unlike someone who's a Leggero to cover me or to cover, it's like they have, it's like, yes, it's learning, but they're doing that now for the sake of budget or whatever, but that's a big problem now. So anyway, that's what Nico told me like years ago.
Nico's right. He's absolutely right.
Nico's brilliant.
Right.
I mean,
Nico's
one of the
brilliant.
scariest moments of my entire career was when Nico Castel walked into a rehearsal, and I'm doing Guillaume and Manon, and I'm going, oh crap, here we go. I mean, it's like, sorry, I can say shit. Now I said shit. Freaking Nico's here, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, the whole other room's going, oh, that's the guy who writes all the, no, bro.
Yeah, the guy that makes our jobs easier. Oh, look at that.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
The guy whose stuff we steal every day.
I mean, Nico is brilliant. I mean, the stuff that I learned from Nico, and I tell the kids now. I'm able to take what he taught me and bring it to the kids now. But I think another thing about being a character tenor is we're not afraid to do anything.
Yeah.
We're really not. I mean, I've done stuff, and I never say no. And even when I get hurt, I don't say no. Rodell, I was thinking about, they brought back the Rheingold this year with the Lyric, and I covered Rodell on the Mima at the Lyric, and he's doing all this tumbling and all this stuff. And this was, how many years ago was this when we did it? 4 years, Rodell?
2006.
Yeah. And you're doing all this tumbling, and I'm going, I'm an old man, right? And I'm going, and I know how to do it. I had to rehearse it, and I did all this stuff. But it came back this year. Luckily, it was because of the COVID. It was canceled, and Rodell wasn't doing it.
The only guy to say that right now. Luckily, it was canceled.
So, and I'm going, all right, I'm 67 years old now, and I'm going to be tumbling on stage.
Oh my God!
But I remember doing this role, and you mentioned Dennis Peterson's a very dear friend, and I was doing this Lady Macbeth and the Sanks, and they had me just doing the craziest stuff, and I never said no. And the end of this bit, this whole aria thing that I did, I had to dive headfirst into a manhole cover under the stage, head first. And Dennis Peterson had originated the role, and he had come in the house a little after I was running it, and I said, Dennis, how the heck did you do that? How did you? I said, I'm doing it. I got hurt. I've been beat up. And he goes, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. I told him no. I was never.
Nice.
But not me.
Is this the teacher? Is that the teacher role, Alan?
The drunk.
Shabby peasant.
The shabby peasant. Oh, my gosh, that role almost.
I was
After you've sung 6 minutes of crazy nonsense.
And they bring you in on a crane on top of the stage. I had to land on top of a car and roll off the car. I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid of heights, and they're bringing me in on a crane. I still can't believe I did. And I didn't say no. I just said, sure, let's do it. Come on, no problem. And I never do. And I think that's a thing for character tenors, that we're not afraid. We go for it.
You guys are almost like stuntmen in that respect.
In a way, I think we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
absolutely.
I mean, I'm just never afraid. My body is broken now.
Hey,
I've been going to for a physical therapist 3 days a week this last month. I'm broken, but I still won't say no. That's the crazy thing. I'll say, sure, no problem, no problem.
I think, Michael,
go ahead.
I do want to tell you is, and I know everybody's done it, is, you know, the hardest part of acting on stage is actually being on stage still the whole time. That, for me, that's the most exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're so used to always exerting so much energy, and for us to actually, there's so many operas, especially now with HD. With
Camera's right here. Camera's right
all right.
here.
So this is an amazing. I gotta drop this. You know, I don't know. I mean, so again, how many people, when you hear "In Questa Regia," you go, "Ugh."
I get that, man. Even I get that.
For us, it's "In Questa." Oh, because that's just when we've stopped that first scene.
And we've all done that. All of us have done those parts.
And the sweat starts dripping down the crack of our ass, and then we gotta stand there for the rest of that freaking scene. No offense, ladies, I love it.
Oh my God!
No, you all are smiling your asses off. You know it's true.
If you're in that Bliss Hebert set, you got those heavy costumes.
Even Nessun Dorma, we're off stage, always getting ready to go right on as soon as Nessun Dorma is over. Also,
Yeah, you're going like, we gotta go. We gotta get to this. No, we're ready to go.
Okay, sing your B. Would you sing your B? Let's go.
Let's get to and those, if you've done that Bliss Hebert production with those costumes that weigh about,
I did it in Florida.
400 pounds.
Yeah.
The word is if you've done it. That's, God, how many times did you do it?
I can still smell that pearl from here.
You know,
that big giant pearl. Yeah. I did it in Florida.
Was nasty. My God.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see that? You guys ever do the Bliss Hebert, James? Matthew?
No.
Rodell?
I did the Caliph of it. I didn't do I did Caliph in Florida, the Florida Grand. Yeah.
Mike, you did Pong on that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Or
Ping.
Sorry.
Ping. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I guess the story is one of the Sopranos booted in the pearl, and it never got cleaned out.
Oh no.
Actually, they used to put a super in there for the whole first act. Can you imagine having to sit there for that whole thing?
Oh God.
Oh Bliss.
You made a lot of money on that. That's awesome.
Oh Bliss.
Alan, when you were talking about your body being broken, so I guess last year, not this past spring, the spring before, I did that Basil Twist, Hansel and Gretel, and that 15-foot witch puppet thing that Jim Henson Studios made.
Wow.
That premiered in Houston many, many years ago. Yeah. And when I tell you, it nearly broke me. I mean, it was, the craziest mechanism. And I had 3 people underneath me, working the hips and the movement of the thing and the up and down. And then I'm up there and my wrists are her elbows. And I got this giant headpiece. I mean, the thing weighed 25 pounds,
Wow.
And I had to make everything look natural, but it was so crazy. And I'm trying to sing, and it took a long time for me to coordinate that. But My body
You did
was
it, but you did it.
literally broken by the end.
And you didn't say
I did
no, and you didn't say
I
no.
did it,
No, you
and I
did it.
loved it.
Yeah.
No, and I loved it. It was
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
coolest things I've ever done, like bar none,
Yeah.
because it was just so far out of the realm of normalcy for me, and I just dug it. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
I mean,
Yeah,
hearing people
because-
talk about their bodies being broken, I can't help but look over at Dean like, oh,
Oh,
boy.
Dean's
Tell me
done a
all
lot.
about it, buddy.
Yeah,
Dean's done a lot.
Yeah, right.
It's funny because you talk about the repertoire. We really haven't been talking about that much repertoire, but ironically for me, one of my favorite roles of all time. I did Puck a lot in Midsummer Night Dream in Britain,
Yeah.
and the only time I sang was when I was imitating the voices all the time. But that was to me the culmination of every skill that I had that I worked my ass off to learn was doing Puck in Midsummer Night Dream. And then you go into the whole flying stuff. Have you guys flown? Of course you have. You haven't flown, Rodell.
No, I have flown. I have flown, yes.
And and all of a sudden they put this suit on you. You're like, oh shit, I can't breathe. I gotta, and then I gotta do.
How are we going to sing?
I gotta do a somersault in this thing, and yeah. So, but it's injuries, torn ACLs. There's nothing worse than somersaulting the wrong way day one, and you go, oh, hit my something, and it's bruised, and then you keep doing it every rehearsal because you don't want to go, I can't do this anymore. I'm hurt. That doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you guys are the perfect example of, there is sort of this trope or this misconception of opera as sort of slow, and you just stand there and sing with your trovatore, traviata, trovatore. But you guys are the perfect case study of this is a physical art form.
Bro, we don't do trovatore.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? You hear the
I do
jokes
trovatore.
about how, it's just, large people moving slow. But man, I don't know a character tenor that doesn't have some sort of injury with a story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Right on. Right on.
Jim, did you have any stories, Jim?
Well, I mean, not like total injury things, but crazy things that you've done. My tailbone and things like that. From hitting wrong, but of doing. I've done roles on my arms. Like
Oh my gosh.
like walking around on my arms with boots on them.
That had to be in Germany. That had to be in Germany.
It was in France. It was.
All right, it was in Europe.
in
Okay.
France.
It was in Europe.
Singing
It's a good
high
second
E,
guess.
crazy. Yeah, exactly. I think.
Oh, I've done the craziest
Regie
thing in
Theatre
Germany.
has really hit France.
Hey,
Yeah.
I want to ask everyone else here, and this is a recurring thing that I posted on Facebook, and hopefully you're not going to respond with, "Oh, that's a dead dog beaten or horse." Sorry, a dog, not horse.
Rodell, let's not beat a dead dog, okay?
Dead dog. Dead dog.
I always compare because opera is part of the whole like entertainment business, and I think three of you have already seen this. Because I always feel like it's not just about the tenors, but in the whole the character category. And Michael, I don't know, I've never mentioned you, but I have always felt so. I'm upset. Always felt so. What is that? Excluded. That opera companies and opera publications have never what is that? Focused on supporting it.
Featured.
No, they only put the leading parts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's like,
It's all about pretty.
like film, you got Melissa McCarthy. It's like, what? All these Saturday Night Live people being focused, they're not the lead, but they're the ones that make things funny. I don't know.
Right.
We can do what could be done, because regardless of how small they are, they will never feature anyone like this. And that is very disappointing.
Or even do like a one, at least Opera News could do one issue dedicated to this underappreciated fuck. And I'll just say it. I really believe it is. I think you guys are underappreciated. And I think folks that don't know that need to, because it's the collective energy that makes what we do so special.
Well, and Joe's wasn't sound bites, but sound bites, that's any singer who's coming up. No, they put it there. I want like a whole, like, a real feature, or sometimes just I remember this because every time, like for example, Lyric would put in a publication, they always omit the supporting roles that could is part of the main role.
Mm-hmm.
No, just not just me, but I remember they're not including David's when he's there. It's like, what? He's part of the main 5 casting, and that's what's happening. And
Oh yeah,
that's
no, they stop at Suzuki. They do it all the time.
Always been that way.
Goro's never mentioned.
Oh yeah, well, because it's that print is a lot of money, so to rent Goro.
Which is so weird because it's the storytellers.
But was it?
You're right.
That's a good point, James.
What is it, James?
I said we're the character roles are the storytellers. They lead the story. I mean, you watch. I mean, whether it's a character tenor or a character mezzo or baritone, they're the ones that we lead the story.
Mm-hmm.
You watch us to find out what the hell is going on because Madam is singing something over there, and you're like, well, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
It's our face, our expressions that people learn off of what's going on.
Do you feel like it's sort of like you guys sort of reflect what the audience is thinking sometimes?
Mike,
Mike, we can look at you for that.
I was just going to jump in on that. I mean, the beauty of our craft, and it is a craft. I don't care what anybody says. The ability for us, for an audience member to look at us, and wherever we're focused, and if we're giving that other person, if we're making that guy look like the most important damn thing that walked on the face of the earth, that focus is going to go on that person. So the reality is that's our freaking job. I mean, that goes back to the sidekick.
It is.
That guy's the most important thing that ever walked the face of the earth, and I'm giving him every ounce of energy that I have. So if somebody looks at me, it's going right to the focus. I mean, that's right. What we do. And we often don't, won't get credit for that. And that's the way it is. Yeah. But you can't take it away from us. It is really personal.
No.
And, the last thing I want to just toss in is the kick-ass thing for me now is on this other side of the table is that, if I'm directing a kid in this first production of Susanna, I get to teach a kid Little Bat or Butterfly, or the list goes on. I get at least to get them my side of the way it goes, and that's a part of the education that we have to keep doing in this repertoire.
Just to tag on to that, Dean, I can tell you that I have been a beneficiary of the tremendous amount of work that character tenors put into their craft, not just from what I experience on stage, but a lot of what I do today as a leading character, as far as footwork, as far as dramatic intention, as far as throwing energy, I owe to Dean Anthony, because it wasn't because he was teaching me. It was I was watching him direct young singers and use the entire breadth of his knowledge that he has gained over decades as a character tenor, the storytellers of our business. I was able to take advantage of those lessons and watch him teach those people, because there were so many deficiencies in my craft as an actor that I just wasn't aware of until I worked with Dean. And it wasn't him telling me what to do. It was him telling somebody else what to do as a director, especially working with the character. I was like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter where your feet go. It doesn't matter how your body language on stage, making sure you're pushing focus to the right place.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that, brother. But the other thing that was really great for me, even though it wasn't in famous places, I was working when I first started as a director at small houses. I was getting my feet wet. So, okay, I'm doing Merry Widow at this company. They want to get a local guy to do Niegush. No, that's not going to happen. I'll do it, and I'll direct it, and I'll produce it, and I'll build props. Yeah. And I'm going, and it's not because of my ego. It's because
you want it to be good.
I got to give Tom Hammonds, who's doing the Baron, I got to give Glavin, I got to make this team work. There's just no way. And it's not that I don't want to teach somebody, but you got to come with some goods. So the education part of this and the teaching element is crucial for you young guys or medium-aged guys or whatever it is.
Don't look at me, please.
And Miss
I mean, I don't.
Yeah. So true.
You guys were
Yeah,
talking
Rodell
earlier about
moisturizes.
Nico.
He's way older than he looks.
you guys
Rosel,
were,
yes, yeah.
you guys were talking earlier about Nico Castell and his legacy, and how he did pass on things to you guys, and how important is it for you to do that to younger generations, to have a mentor mentee relationship? Do you do that? Are you out there finding young tenors that you see that guy's got potential? Are you passing that information on? Are you trying to breathe life into that young person's desires and then career?
God, I'm doing that every day. I'm doing that every day. This whole summer, even everybody was out of work, and all these kids had nothing this summer. I taught for free all summer. I just taught them all. I was teaching every single day. And I just said, don't pay me. We're going to do this. Because especially the ones that have this potential, I help people
That would
all
be
the time. And I don't want anything. Rodell, I won't help you, but I'll help everybody else.
Rodell needs a different kind of help.
I miss you. Rodell, by the way, are you here in Chicago? Where are you?
look.
Where are you? You're not going to tell me? You're going to hide from me. Okay.
I was gonna say, working with. It's so funny working with Alan. One thing I learned from Alan: stamina. To be able to sing consistently, vocally, audibly, and not lose everything. I think that's one of the things perfected is that. Oh my God! It's like I don't know if you guys work with Nina Stemma, like that. Yeah. Oh my God!
That voice just keeps going. Keeps going.
Alan doesn't know how to mark. I mean,
shut up. I'm learning. I'm finally learning.
I remember
Dean.
that. I remember that about
Dean. I'm finally learning, Dean. Yeah, by the time we got to the performance, there was nothing left. And I'm trying to learn from that now, even in my old age.
Alan, I got the greatest picture of you when we were doing that. Because I had to direct you once, and I told these guys.
I know.
In that pagliacci that we did, and I don't know, I stepped in for somebody someday, and I have this kick-ass picture of me just getting right in your face about something. I don't know what it was, but
you were great. You were great.
I cherish it, bro. I cherish that.
I'll tell you what, Dean, the horror, the one thing, and it wasn't even supposed to be directed. Do you remember what I'm going to be talking about? And he just passed away. Coppola's opera. Coppola's opera. Do you remember?
Sacco and Vanzetti.
Yes,
I remember that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't think I ever worked harder in my life in 1 week. You. Yeah. Oh my, I don't know how we pulled that off. I
was also in it too.
That's right, you were in it too, yeah. That was insane.
I have a question for Jim, because all of us are here in Northern America. How is the character tenor what is that interaction with other people there where you are? Because I haven't worked there yet. I mean, I'm only worked in London, but I was the only character tenor in the role in the opera. So how is it now? How is the business there now?
Well, there's nothing going on in the UK except it's maybe slowly going to have a couple of things in open air, but that's it. But in the character world, it's very similar to, I guess I would say probably the university ideal of what a character tenor is in America, where they think it's like the lesser class of people, and that you get they will hire youngish people to do it, and for me, I'm struggling at the moment to try to get, some jobs here in other companies that are outside of London, because they think, oh, well, he's an American, why should we hire him to do something that we can hire, a 20-year-old to do and not pay as much? And you're like, well, because look at what I bring to the table, to your production. And so we have misconception, and it's hard coming from Europe, because that's a role. It's a job that you work, with the hardest working people in opera houses in Europe, in German speaking countries. You're the ones that are there 5 performances a week. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's
So-
it's weird. It's weird. It's that weird. They don't really quite get what a character tenor is because they don't sing as much. But whatever.
One thing
So
that I
important.
have noticed
So important.
now that we're in the middle of this pandemic, and I hate to make things all about the pandemic because Lord, we have enough talking about that already. But talking with you guys just now, and it has tapped into this thought that I've had recently, which is what makes opera special is not that soprano singing that aria, that baritone singing Scarpia, that tenor singing Nessun Dorma by themselves. And if there's anything that's been able to point that up in Technicolor, it's this pandemic. Because what we don't have now, us, that do the Scarpias and whatnot, we just have ourselves by ourselves up there. And it's becoming so apparent how crucial the collective is to make, how important it is and how absolutely necessary it is to make what we do compelling. Because frankly, if I see one more soloist up there singing one aria out of context into a tiny screen, I'm bored stiff. And I miss the collective action. And one of the things that makes that collective work so well is what you guys bring to the stage. And right now I am missing it so much. And it's so clear that opera is not the lead tenor singing an aria, not the lead soprano, not the lead mezzo, not the lead baritone by themselves out there making it happen just by themselves. Without the collective, without you guys, we lose that thing that brings you onto the stage and it sucks the audience in. And it's one thing it's just been tearing me up lately, and seeing you guys all here right now has really made that apparent to me, because just in this conversation, there's so much color and character and interest,
Yeah, Mike, what interesting thing about that is, and I'd love the other guy's opinion, and, the interesting thing is, when we're doing I don't do them anymore, but when you do an audition for an opera company, you're out there by yourself. And rarely, unless you're doing France or something like that, when you're just a kooky old guy, you're singing an aria by yourself. I mean, how often do you get to be by yourself on stage? It's very, very rare. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's sleeping or, whatever, or passed out or whatever, So, the audition process and being that is very, very difficult to get through to the people who are casting, because they just
What you can do.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that. So let's start the sideshow opera project. Because I always felt like a carny, and we'll just have a character tenor carny project. You know what I mean?
Okay, there you go.
I love
There you
that
go.
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There you go.
if you audition with Tanzmeister, it's like, yeah, what's the context? But you're things that like, yeah, it's in the middle of a freaking scene, and then so you're right. Unless it's like something like Franz Aria, most of them are pretty much part of a scene, part of a dialogue that's excerptable. But yeah.
It's true. But I think especially with kids today, and I do a performance class, and I really I don't want them standing still when they're singing. I give them that box of where they can move, I've been judging the Met auditions for the last, 6 or 7 years now. Not this year. Online we'll be doing it. And it's the ones that do something for me. When I'm judging, I'm going, oh, good, you did something. They don't stand there. They don't have a blank look on their face. And I think it's up to us to teach these people, the younger people now, you can act and sing at the same time. You really can.
You must.
It's not about standing still. It really is.
I also don't
scared.
I mean, I also don't sing auditions anymore. It's been a long time. But
No, I haven't.
all of a sudden you walk in the door, and for me, I just wanted to make people laugh or do whatever to lighten them up. So every time I walked into an audition, I said, "Good afternoon, my name is Dean Anthony. I'd like to sing Bestia La Juba, but I can't, so I'll sing Beppe." And that's how I started their audition.
I love that. I love that.
And they would, Oh my God! I mean, how many times I got that look? But that's fine.
Awesome.
Or doing
Yeah,
a
but that-
flip, or doing a flip in an audition at the end of Beppe, a standing back flip, you know, and then
I don't get you, Joe.
and getting the responses from that,
Mhm.
which great story. I won't tell it, but
And you wonder why you have physical damage to
yeah, exactly.
Good. Yes.
To yourself, right?
tiled floor.
Right, exactly. Oh my God. Well, that's got to be memorable. That's the thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I tell you, I mean,
That's it.
that's exactly right, and that's one of the things about just these five guys here. Like, that's the thing about you guys. You're ultimately memorable. And as we sort of wrap up here, you know, we've been talking about all these things, but I think it's really important right now that your FOC has some advocacy. And I want to double down on what Rodell said. And this is an open letter to Opera News. I know you're desperate for content right now. I know you need something because, you know, everything is the same old boring crap with no performances. While you're looking for stories, I can tell you there's one right here. We need to be advocating for this FOC because I do not think, God bless young singers, and I want them to have all the opportunities, but not at the expense of these incredibly talented singer actors, team players that we have right here. And could you guys just give us a closing thought about that particular aspect of this particular time we're in?
Listen, it's you know, the thing about it is, if we're doing our job well, it like Dean was saying, and like everybody said today, it elevates the story, it supports the other characters, and the audience doesn't even realize that we're doing it. And if you've got somebody up there who doesn't have that kind of experience, and of course you got to learn, but if it's really not your thing, then I guarantee if you put two versions of the same opera side by side with an experienced character tenor and an inexperienced character tenor, you're going to see the difference in the overall performance, the story, and the way the lead singers sing better, and with more confidence. That's what we do, and that is always understated, and it's it's a reason why. And I understand cost is it's all about the mighty dollar, but a lot of times the audience has no idea that shouldn't be a thing. And I think sometimes a lot of companies miss that mark too and think, well, that's good enough, but boy, is it good enough, or could it be fantastic? And that's the difference.
Well,
In my agree. Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
and in any opera, the very first thing that we know is, on first day of rehearsal, everyone is expected to be memorized. Everyone expected to know their music. Most artists, that's what they expect, because the directors and everyone else will guide them how they will be performing, how are they going to be staged. This is the big difference with character tenors. We are not just expected to know our music, have it memorized, but expect a lot out of us already, what we have, like what we can bring to the table, even though someone is there to stage us. And that is a huge responsibility, because I've seen it many times in rehearsal, how directors have treated the artists, but every time they go to the characters, they are extremely strict. They ask a lot, and they think that we already know what they think, because we should know, because we're tenors, we're actors. You should know already. So that pressure is there. And when you're working in a big company, you're always thinking, okay, what else can I bring on the table? I'm already bringing as much as I can, and I don't want to be criticized for my job. And that's always the in the back of our minds. And I'm like, okay, I need to know this.
Yeah.
I need to know what the director's psyche is, because I know there's going to be some differences in opinions. How do I do that? Because I do have my own experience of this role. And unlike other singers where they just really sing and stand, and when you tell them to do something, they don't have a preconceived idea of a deeper preconceived idea because they rely on the directors. So anyway,
if I can jump in on piggyback.
It's a fine balance. You're right.
It is. I'm sorry, I got cut off for a second, but what Rodell said, the other really tricky part has been the fact that, some directors, you'll walk in the door and they go, "Oh, it's you. Great. Just do what you do. I got other fish to fry."
Right, I got a shit to do.
And if I had $1 for every time I did that, and then you kind of go, "Well, crap. What? I'd like to learn something. I'm still willing to learn, bro. Can you help a brother out?"
Here you go.
But I think there's also another aspect to that, or another prong of the fork, where you've got the directors that see those of us that come in with ideas and different concepts, and then you see them light up. I mean, Dean, you probably get excited when somebody comes to a rehearsal and has an idea about something, so you can play with things, and the show that I was just doing before got canceled with COVID, I could tell that the director, he liked being able to work with me because we could play at work, and that's what makes it fun. That's why, working in our field is not really work, it's fun.
Yeah.
And, I think, at least.
No, it's true. It's true. I just want to add again, because this is brought up, and I think, especially here in America, they don't understand that having people from young artists who do these character parts, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because they don't know what to do on stage yet. And you have to have people who know what they're doing. And I don't know when they need to understand that it's something that they just, and honestly, especially now, we're not going to cost that much money. We're really not. We want to work. We still want to work. I still want to work. I'm teaching full time, but I still love working. And it's so important to have people like you guys on, and Dean, you directing these young people and showing them what to do, because we need that, because these kids coming out of school, they have no clue. They have no clue. Agreed. And I'm trying to help them. I really am. But most of them get out and they think they're going to go and have careers right away, and they're not ready. They're not ready.
And isn't it interesting, Alan, too, what you just said, though, bang for buck. I mean, what they can get out of an experienced character tenor, because we know everybody's lines.
Yes.
We know what everybody is saying. We've done like prep way over and above most of the other people on stage, because they have a scene here, they have a scene, and they go away. We're out on stage going, oh yeah, that's really interesting. Oh my God, here I am acting and emoting because we've done a lot of work, and so bang for buck. I mean, if you hire somebody experienced, I know it seems costly, but think about what you get. You get some serious prep and some serious dedication to the craft. I don't know.
And most of us
don't ever
forget. Yeah, but most of us, once we've learned a part, we don't forget it. It sticks. You know what I mean? I mean, we could all have a little trio of ping, pong, and pong right here, and
they're hard and they're difficult.
It's
much
super
more difficult.
hard.
They're so hard.
And every time you do it, it gets deeper and deeper.
Herod, I mean, my gosh.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, if I was a young singer today, and I was looking to learn from somebody who's been around the block, I would rather learn my craft from Beppe, from Pang, from Pong, because
Mike,
they know how to tell a story. And there's nowhere to hide from you guys.
I know I've got a big mouth. I talk way too much, but the thing about it is that with the mass repertoire that we've done and been around, we sat in these rooms. And again, my 2 cents on this is 80% of what I learned in this industry was what not to do. I stood there on the side and I went, oh, I watched some behavior or something. Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
No, I won't.
I'm not going to do that because we're freaking every rehearsal. So, you know, and we're also able to do, 15 shows a year, even though we say yes, even though we go, we still do it because we need to make money. And, but that experience of watching all those people, all those years is just so kick ass,
Mm-hmm.
You guys, and I'll bring up my last thing of it, going back to Nico Costello. Did you guys ever see the video, and it's out there, you can find, I think it's on YouTube, of Nico having to audition for the Hofmeister in Ariadne?
Yes.
I was in that Ariadne. I was in that. And I was doing the Scaramuccio. And can you imagine the Met made him audition for that?
it's brilliant.
It is, believe me, I knew that already would be brilliant because Nico and I had already worked. I knew him already, and I mean, I was lucky enough to perform with Nico. That's how I learned. I was lucky in how many shows Tony LaTour and I did together.
No kidding.
These are the people I learned from, but Nico was, but that the Met made him audition for that after all he had done. And he made a joke of it. He made a joke of it. He really did. And it's brilliant. If you guys, if some of you have not seen it, watch it. It's brilliant. It's just this video he made of himself auditioning for the Met to do the Hofmeister in Ariadne.
I think the whole audience just got some homework right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it's brilliant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, guys, I really want to thank you guys for coming on the show.
Oh,
And
thank you, Mike.
not only thank you for coming on the show, but thank you all for thank you for the contribution to our art form. And it grieves my heart that more folks that are making decisions in our business don't have that appreciation. And I hope that maybe a little insight on this show may help them understand what a valuable part you are of our industry and of our art form and of our storytelling.
Yeah.
And I can thank you all day long. I hope that the people that are making decisions today learn to thank you by making sure that the character tenor is elevated to the same place and to the place of its former glory. And if you can look at this room right here, you have some of the most amazing storytellers and actors and singers you could imagine. And we need to be lifting these folks up. And I hope that that's something that happens in the future.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Michael.
It's so good to see all of you guys. It really is.